Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. Welcome to one of my favorite videos to film because I get to get new books. Welcome to the book haul. I have some very exciting additions to my library. I have grown very selective over the years, so every time that I do get to indulge myself a little bit, it's extremely exciting, for me at least. I think I have 9 novels, 1 manga collection, 1 graphic novel or comic, and then I have 4 ebook short stories. But I do want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, which is going to come as no surprise. It is Book of the Month. If you've not heard of them before, Book of the Month is a US subscription box and they do ship to US addresses. And they carefully curate a selection of between 5 to 7 titles that you get to pick one from. And they ship your selected book right to you, and you can also add more books if you want from their add-on section. Their mission is to basically introduce readers to new and upcoming authors and also just provide a very nice selection each month for you to kind of save on research time. If you do decide that you want to skip a month, it's also very easy to do through their website, through your account. And just as an example, the following were the April book selections. First up, we have The Good Left Undone, a historical fiction from World War II set in Italy. A mythology retelling called Keiki. I've looked up how to pronounce it. I might still be getting it wrong. Stunning cover. A mystery thriller called Like a Sister. Contemporary fiction called True Biz. And lastly, a non-fiction book called Bittersweet. Would have been between these two. This one's because it's a fantasy. But I think this time I would go with this one because it's like a coming-of-age story, but someone I think described it online as a love story to deaf culture. I think that's really cool and I'm not seeing that very often. So as you can see, it's very varied between the genres and the types of books that are there. If you'd like to give it a go, you can use the code bookroast and the link down below in the description bar to get your first hardcover book for $9.99. And thank you so much to Book of the Month for working with me once again. Alright, let me get started. I have such a weird collection here. There's like no cohesiveness. You know, going from classics to sci-fi to horror, manga, fantasy, just a little bit of everything. It is a little bit of everything. Let me start in the order that I basically acquired them. I went to Waterstones and I've seen this. And I've actually had no idea that this is even out, that this is a thing. At first I just kind of glanced at it and I was like, oh, it's like Cytonic. But then I was like, no, it isn't. What is it? So this apparently is a collection of the novellas for the Skyward series. So this includes Sunreach, Redawn, and Evershore. And obviously Leave It to Sanderson to even make the novellas so chunky that when you put them together, it is 622 pages. You know, just the normal amount. Oh, there's 2 authors at the back. Is one of them co-written? That's really cool. So it matches the previous editions, and the guy at the till actually said that they only got this that day that I visited, and also they only had 1 copy. So I believe that this is fate, basically. And I still need to read Cytonic, but I'm very excited to have this for afterwards, or I don't know, I actually need to check the publication order, because maybe I should read them before. But that's really cool. I just did not know they're releasing it in this format. And now it's just going to fit neatly next to the other copies of the main series. So the next couple of books I picked up because, partially at least, because of their location. The first one is called The Voids, and this is a kind of like a fantastical, mysterious but humorous, also commentary on society is what I'm expecting this to be, really. Book set in Glasgow around like a less desirable place with flats that are being kind of abandoned, and they are referred to as the Voids. The main character kind of sits next to them listening for other human activity, and it just goes down and down and down as people evacuate and leave the flats, but then there he does meet some other people who are staying. From what I understand, it has the kind of vibes of a fever dream at one point. I think there's a lot of commentary on like modern Britain and obviously class. I've not heard anything of it. It has like a cool cover underneath. I'm excited to delve into it and see what's up. I feel like this could be, again, like this kind of fever dream, insightful read. Then we have this beauty. Can we talk about the cover? It's a girl It's a heart. It's really cool. This reminded me a little bit of the premise of Stalking Jack the Ripper, minus maybe minus serial killer, I guess we'll see. But it's about a girl. It's set in Edinburgh 1817. I am not big on kind of like a historical touch on it. I don't love going back in time. If I had a pick, I will always pick future rather than the past as a reader. I just feel like I've explored it a lot and I'm ready to not do that. So it's actually quite unusual for me to pick this up. However, I'm hoping that this is going to be closer to what I kind of expected rather than what I got in the Stalking Jack the Ripper, which was fun. It's just not, it was also not. Our main character is someone who was wanting to study medicine. I think it was medicine. Surgeon, yeah, she wants to be a surgeon, so she's studying medicine. However, one of the lecturers, of course, bans her from the classes because of her gender, and in order to be let back in, she has to prove that she can pass the exams alone with no help because reasons. So in order to do that, she meets with this guy, Resurrection Man, which I'm assuming is like excavating corpses. Basically, she needs a corpse and he can get a corpse, but he comes with his own struggles where he is stalked by mysterious men. And then they obviously have to help one another. And since this is called Anatomy, a love story, I'm presuming there's romance in this. It's kind of this beigey color underneath. I 100% read the synopsis because of the cover, not gonna lie. And I don't regret it. I think whoever did it is a genius. It's really cool. I like it a lot. So it has this kind of like Gothic vibe as well. I'm very excited about that. Next one I got, I actually don't have much to say for. I simply wanted to get the second book in Christen City so that I don't run out of time to get a hardcover, because I wanted to match the first one, and that's really it. I've still not read the second one. That's how the end papers look. This is how the cover looks like. Yeah, because I've not read the first one, don't have much to say about this, but it's a fantasy. It's an adult fantasy from Scifi Mass. I've heard mixed things. Obviously, there's a lot of love for the series. Slightly worried for the feedback that I've heard about poor exposition. We'll see. So genuinely, from Scifi Mass to self-help books, this one's called Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? It really just grabbed my attention because it was half price. When I opened it, it looked like there's like bite-sized pieces, which sometimes I'm really in the mood for. Basically, the way that it was pitched here, also fun colors, blue underneath. So social media superstar and experienced clinical psychologist shares the ideas, insights, and techniques that she has seen change her clients' lives so that any reader can do the same. Not everyone necessarily wants, needs, or can afford to consult a professional therapist, but that doesn't mean that the skills taught by psychologists can't be used by us all to make our daily lives easier and more positive. In this practical and reassuring book, Dr. Julie shows us how. I'm always very skeptical, but I'm also intrigued, and the bite-size things really appeal to me, and the fact that there's like a lot of short kind of snippet advice bits, and there's like graphs and tables appeal to me. I am very picky and skeptical, and I've tried a lot of things, and my degrees in psychology. I'm trying my like third or fourth therapist. I'm difficult to please in this area, but I keep trying. So I'll report back on that one. Next, I have my Fairload edition that recently just arrived of Heartstopper Volume 2. It's this beautiful kind of teal edition with pretty edges and then foil on the cover as well. Signed end papers and also this beautiful teal edge. I have already read this, so it's not like to read, it's more so to put on my shelf and make it look pretty. Another one I believe is a romance. It's called Writers and Lovers, has this pastel cover, and this is basically about a writer who's turned 31. Her life is not going the way that she imagined it would be. You kind of are seen as a proper adult in other people's eyes, but you don't have anything sorted. There's also an element of grief in the story, as she has just lost her mother, which is a terrible concept, obviously, and a little bit afraid of how much that's going to be in the story, but it's important and it's interesting. And actually, this is a love triangle romance, so I'm gonna see how I'm gonna jive with it. Writers writing about writers, I quite like, because obviously write what you know, and that would match. So we're gonna see how this goes. But basically one of the guys, she moves back, I believe, and meets two guys promising very two different paths in life. We have a lot of fun end papers in this haul. Going to some horror. This is a manga collection that I really wanted to find Uzumaki for. That is the one that interests me more, but I cannot for the life of me find one. So I am going with Tomie first. I just really have such a good hunch on how this is going to go. I think that the gruesome, really weird and uncomfortable concepts are going to be really liked by me. I seem to like that kind of anime. But yeah, because I couldn't find Uzumaki, I'm gonna go with this and give it a go. I do know I can get it on Kindle, but I really just prefer to read manga physically. But I might just have to give up on that one and see. This one seems to be about a girl called Tomie who can seduce pretty much any man and drive them to murder. Unfortunately, although I think a lot of the time the victim is actually Tomie herself, and then we span through a lot of men who are afraid of her, afraid of losing her, and then realizing that you actually cannot kill her. No matter how much you try, she just comes back, and the world will never be free of Tomie. So we'll see. I'm excited. It's a chonker, just like a weapon. You can actually kill someone with this itself. Next, I have a super exciting sci-fi. It's another work by Octavia Butler. I have read Kindred by them, and I really enjoyed it, but I was kind of bamboozled by myself and I guess the marketing, because it's called a sci-fi and it has a sci-fi device, but the story and the point of the story is completely far removed from that. Like, the device served the story for what it needed to, and the story was completely and very well done, but it was just not a sci-fi in my mind. However, I have heard that this one is, and I believe is a first contact sci-fi as well, where the main character gets kind of swooped away from Earth, and in this small sample of people who will survive because another species has intervened with humanity's faith, basically. And now I believe she needs to... It says, over centuries, the Onkali learned from the past, cure disease, and heal the world. Now they want Lilith to lead her people back home, but salvation comes at a price. To restore humanity must be changed forever. I think this is a series as well, not a standalone like Kindred. So I am excited. I'm excited. Another Gothic book is Rebecca. I do think this is possibly considered a classic. I'm not quite sure where we draw the line, where I even check that thing. It probably depends on who you ask as well. But this is a little bit more domestic compared to what I normally read. It's about the main character who is working as a, companion to a domineering elderly lady. And then she gets proposed to by this kind of mysterious man who's wealthy and taken away to their manor. Then she slowly starts to realize that she really doesn't know this man all that well. And on top of that, the signs and the creepy stuff and kind of the hints of the first wife keep haunting her. I know my friend Murphy loves this book, so I thought I'll give it a shot. I have somewhat low expectations. I feel like this does not sound like my type of story, but I'm keeping an open mind and I really want to give it a go. So we will see. We'll see how I get on with that. But I do like a good mystery to just keep me going, so we'll see. It is quite lengthy, so I am wondering if it will keep my attention and my intrigue high through most of it. We'll see. And then the very last physical book is The Lost Art of Sinking. This seems to be a very bizarre little story, and it really intrigued me. It's a story of Esther, who is still at school, and her group of friends are going through the stage of being kind of like obsessed of passing out. And so she's trying to find different ways of passing out, and obviously I'm assuming things are gonna get a little bit too far. And it also says, and what has Esther's mother, a beautiful dancer, wasting away in her bedroom to do with that? So I'm not even sure where this is taking, but I have been really pulled towards kind of obsessive things, like, so I wanted to read that Uzumaki story because that is obsession with spirals. And it's really interesting what happens in one's mind when you are so hyper fixated on something. Like, why is someone driven to the point where they're so obsessive? What are they dealing with outside of this? So I'm very, very intrigued about this, and it is quite a short story, so it's also perfect to slide it in somewhere in between bigger books. Also, the cover looks like it could also have something to do with dancing, which has always been a passion of mine. Okay, and so the very last things that I did get are all from the same collection. I don't remember what the collection is called, but it's a bunch of really cool authors writing short stories or novellas, and they're all sci-fi, and I got a couple of the authors that I thought I would really enjoy. So first of all, we have Arc by Veronica Roth, then we have Summer Frost by Blake Crouch, which is on my this month's TBR, so I'm definitely reading that soon. Then we have Emergency Skin by N.K. Jemisin, whose like fifth season I absolutely loved. And then we have Randomized by none other but Andy Weir. So a special thank you to my Patreons for making me even aware that this is a thing, because I have completely missed it. This was not on my radar. Otherwise, I would have already read all of these, I believe. So I'm very excited. I am, as I said, reading one of them this month, but I'm gonna probably sprinkle these throughout the next couple because it just sounds like they're really fun. I'll be very disappointed if they're not. Yeah, that is the haul. Let me know if you have decided to try any of these books, if any of them intrigued you, or if you have already read some, and like kind of guess what I will think. That would be interesting to see. I just feel like I got a little bit of everything here, so we shall see how we go. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. I hope you're doing well and the readathon is going great. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!